Christopher Larson. How are we doing, brother?
Fantastic, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Never been happier. Like we're getting some views on YouTube, we're getting famous. So looks like, we're getting the shit that we've been working so hard for, right?
Insta famous and YouTube famous, huh?
Yeah, buddy, exactly.
Now, hopefully, our listeners just connect with the things that we're talking about, what the things that we find interesting.
Yeah, I hope so, man. But I mean, like that's our passion, right? And I think that everybody who likes MMA, um, they probably like the stuff that we talk about because, that's what we're all on about. So
exactly, that's what we're all about. So jumping into UFC 294, there's been a lot of changes on that card.
oh man, yeah, like it's pretty crazy. Like both the main and the co-main event changed. Like one participant in the main and one participant in the co-main. So, but man, I cannot complain about it. Like Volkanovski against instead of Charles Oliveira and Usman instead of Paulo Costa. Both of them are still gonna be like fucking amazing fights, man. So
Yeah.
can't complain.
So let's jump into the main event, like the Islam versus Alexander. Alexander Volkanovski, he takes the fight on 11 days notice. He's been partying, he's been laying on the couch, resting, I think he also had some surgery like 4 weeks ago. Like minor surgery though. So, but he's like definitely not in fight camp for this championship, and he's moving up another weight division.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big it takes a lot of courage from him to do this. But also I believe that Volkanovski in this fight, he has everything to gain and pretty much nothing to lose because he's not putting his belt on the line, right? He's yeah, like I mean he's going up to a weight class, so he's not even considered as the favorite, so he's kind of like supposed to lose, let's say. So he has everything to gain. He can become a double champion, whereas Islam is putting like everything on the line. And even though he's been in training camp for a lot longer, but he's also taking the fight on short notice because I mean he was getting ready for a jiu-jitsu guy and in Charles Oliveira, and now he got to face like a little bit different style in Volkanovski, so it's gonna be interesting.
What do you think about the size advantage of Islam versus Alexander?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna matter a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna be like a big difference, right? Because they're gonna like weigh in the same. Okay, Alexander is a bit shorter, but like it doesn't really matter. I mean, fucking Daniel Cormier was like, what, 5'10", and he became like heavyweight champ. So I mean, I don't think the size advantage is gonna be like a big part in it.
Yeah,
What do you think?
that's going to be interesting to see. I'm a little bit worried that Alexander, he's a tough guy, but taking these short notice fights and then, um, you know, when you're facing out an opponent that always prepared, always ready to fight, always doing this kind of stuff, and then Volkanovski just steps out of the sideline. The good part of it could be that he's much more relaxed. There's not too many nerves. He's like, I don't give a fucking shit what happens. What happens happens. So that can take away the pressure of it and just make him enjoy it much more. On the downside of it, I think it could be like a retirement fight for him. Either way, if he wins, what more do you have to prove to yourself, to the world? And if he loses, okay, you lost twice against Islam. And what else is there to prove then again? So either way, I think it's an interesting fight, depending on what the result's going to be.
Oh, I would be very sad if Volkanovski decides to retire after this, because there's an amazing fight for him in featherweight division as well. Like he could face Ilia Topuria next, right? That guy's a fucking animal, and I think that would be like a legit, 50-50 fight. Like they're both fucking great. And the guy's undefeated. So, I mean, if he retires, I hope that he fights Topuria before, and then retire. But I want to fucking see that fight, man.
But isn't that fight already scheduled after the fight with Islam?
Well, I think what's happening now, I'm like not 100% sure, but I think what's happening is it's gonna be like what's that called? Interim title fight between Holloway and Topuria, and the winner of that will fight Volkanovski.
Okay.
So, but if Volkanovski is ready in January, because let's say he gets like a quick, whatever, a quick knockout here, so he's gonna be ready in January. So then he's gonna face Topuria instead of Holloway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the odds are on Islam's side here. I think Islam is prepared for whatever Volkanovski comes with. I think the big joker here could be if he gets a knockout, if Alexander gets a knockout. If not, I'll imagine that Islam's going to take the win. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I also think Islam is the favorite. I do think Islam is gonna pull it off, just like he did the last time. Though it was super close, right? So you can never count out Volkanovski. I mean, it's like one of the best MMA fighter, like pound for pound. So, but I think that yeah, Islam's gonna get it done by a decision again. I don't think he's gonna be able to submit him or knock him out. But yeah, I think he's gonna get it done by a decision. Probably a bit more convincingly than I did last time. So I'm predicting like, let's say, I don't know, 49-46 for Islam.
Yeah, I think that too. But we also had the same prediction with Sugar O'Malley versus Sterling. Like, Sterling have this. He's not gonna. Sugar Sean is like he's too hyped up on himself. Sterling is much more collective and calm, and and Sugar Sean just rocked the world, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember I predicted like Sterling. I never thought like O'Malley is gonna pull it off. I was like, yeah, the wrestling and everything, but I mean, all it takes is one good shot. So fucking O'Malley got it done, man.
O'Malley shook up the world, man. No,
Yeah.
I supported you on that prediction. I was also under the impression that Sugar Sean O'Malley was not able to pull it off, and I don't think nobody, like all the odds were on Sterling's side. So, but that's the cool thing about this sports. Let's see if Alexander can pull this rabbit out of the hat and show the world, really that it doesn't matter. You can change your destiny. You can change your stars. So let's see what he's able to do, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if anyone can beat Islam, it's gonna be like Volkanovski or Charles Oliveira, I would say. So he definitely deserves this chance. And like I'm not even I don't have like a personal favorite in this one. Like, I like both guys. They're like, fucking amazing fighters. They are very likable as well. So it doesn't really matter to me like who wins. But yeah, I think if anyone is gonna stop Islam, it's gonna be Volkanovski or Charles Oliveira. I don't think like Gaethje and Dustin Poirier like they could stop it, because I think Islam's wrestling is just too much for them, and Volkanovski is a better wrestler than them. So that's why I think he got a way better chance.
Well, an interesting point on that is that if you asked Khabib, who he thought it was one of his toughest opponents in his career, he tends to mention Justin Gaethje.
Okay.
He says Justin Gaethje, like he punched like a truck.
Yeah.
Every punch. So I think like if there's anybody who's challenged the Khabib mentality or the Khabib crew, Gaethje has been close to rocking him, So there's a lot of interesting contenders, and Gaethje is one of them. But let's see what Alexander can do now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen that fight, like Gaethje against Khabib. So like Gaethje is fucking chopping him off with like a lot of good leg kicks and stuff like that.
He's so strong.
It was interesting. I mean, Gaethje is definitely dangerous, but then like Khabib, I think he got him down only once and then immediately like submitted him. So he's not that good on the ground. He's amazing stand up, but like not that good on the ground. So I think if he fought Islam, it would end up the same thing, like just taking him down and getting the submission. So I think that's why like Volkanovski is a better fight, because it's not gonna be easy to submit Volkanovski.
No, completely true. But another energy, like the same kind of energy in another fight, is Khamzat Chimaev and Usman. You know,
Oh yeah.
Khamzat's having the momentum. He's up there now. He feels unbeatable. And then Usman is coming out of his second loss against Leon Edwards. You know, he's been talked about like he's retired almost now. What do you think about that fight?
Man, it's pretty interesting. You know, like I watched the press conference today, and both of their guys' energy is like, you know, they were a little bit off. Like Usman, you know, didn't seem to have a lot of energy, and I was very surprised about Chimaev. Like he didn't have that fucking crazy energy about him in the press conference. Um, so I don't know, and Usman didn't look too confident either. So it's very interesting. But I think what's gonna happen in that fight is Chimaev is gonna get it done. You know, I think Usman is a great wrestler, but I think Chimaev's wrestling is even like a bit better than his. And stand up, yeah, I would say it's gonna be like pretty close, but I think Chimaev is gonna pull it off, man. I just cannot see that guy losing, you know, to this Usman. Like maybe Usman, like I don't know, 3 4 years ago, like there would be a more, you know, closer story. But I just don't think like Usman at 36 can stop him. What do you think?
Oh, these are valid points, man, and I can completely understand what you're saying there. I'm just thinking, you know, when Leon Edwards and Usman fought the first fight, where Leon Edwards lands that head kick at like the
Oh yeah.
last minute of the last round, and I was thinking afterwards, like Leon Edwards should now have to fight Khamzat Chimaev. He should fight like. Burns, he should fight like a lot of different fighters before the rematch, because just beating the champ once when he beats the Nigerian Nightmare once is like, okay, then show us against other qualified fighters that you are the best fighter, right? Don't jump into the rematch immediately. Unfortunately, that is what happened, and Usman comes off a second loss, which gives me the feeling like, Usman, are you done? Have you put your legacy where it should be now? Because if not, you should have been able to have gotten that fight, because Usman was winning the fight until that head kick came, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I certainly don't think that he's done though. You know, like I mean, the second fight was what, like a majority decision for Edwards, so it's like a very close fight. And Edwards is like, you know, I don't know, has a 10 fight unbeaten streak or something like that, 10 fight winning streak. So I mean, Usman lost to like a fucking good guy, you know, who's also like younger than him and everything. So I don't think he's like washed up. I think just, you know, like Chimaev is gonna be a bit too much for him. But I think if he would if he would fight someone, let's say under the top five, you know, he would still beat those guys. So
Yeah, I think, with all due respect, I think you're kind of you're not thinking about the part where, how many fights did Kamaru Usman have before he lost against Leon Edwards? Like 18 winning streak
something
fight.
like around 20.
So can you imagine that as a fighter at that level, having 20 fights undefeated, you not having a loss? It takes so much of your concentration and your mentality to be the champ every fight, every round, every session, every training. You're not allowed to let yourself down for 1 second. And that's like a so stressful period of your life, because you can't trust anybody. Oh, champ, you're good, champ. Shut up. I'm nothing. I'm nobody. Mike Tyson said it once, like, every time I think I'm somebody, I always get hurt, and I get easily offended. But then I have to remind myself I'm nobody, and I'm never offended.
Oh, fair enough. You know, I mean, you got a good point. You got a good point with this. Like, I didn't take into consideration like how it could affect his mentality. You know, I was just looking at his skills as a fighter, which is still great, but obviously we don't know like where he is mentally right now. because like some champs, they are like able to overcome that, right? Like Stipe Miocic did it, like he got knocked out by Daniel Cormier, right? And then he just fucking beat the shit out of him in the rematch, Like even, I wouldn't say beat the shit out of him because he was like losing that fight, but then he made some adjustments, right? And then he knocked him out. So some people are able to do that, but then again, like you have people like Tony Ferguson, right, who lost one time like very bad against Justin Gaethje, right? And then he's just never been the same since then. So, I think it depends on the person and like many, many things.
Yeah, I think at this level, it's so you're very relevant when you are relevant. If it's fresh meat in this game, so if you're not working, if you're not pushing, you will fall behind. The level is so high and there's so many athletes competing for the same spot, so it doesn't matter how skillful you are, the mentality has to be on point. So that's
Yeah.
what I think about Usman, that he, I will never use the wording like washed up, but maybe he's over his top now. And at the end of the day, if you're asking yourself, why are you getting up? Why are you going to bed? Why are you doing all this session? Why are you not spending time with your family? Why are you not doing this? Because you're going to fight more? Like, what are you trying to prove? You had like a 20 winning streak. I don't know how many title defenses. It's been, like his gas tank is incredible. Always pushing, always working. And now what? One more fight's going to change your mentality, change your legacy? No. So that's what I'm feeling a little bit about. But let's see. Maybe he pulls it out of the hat as well and shakes up the world.
Yeah, man. I mean, we don't know his motivation. Maybe his motivation to become a champ in another division, right? And he has a good chance at that, right? Because if he beats Chimaev this fight, like I think Dana said, the winner of this is gonna get the title shot against Sean Strickland. So then he could fight Sean Strickland, and he already beat him once, like back in welterweight. So he could do that again in middleweight, and how fucking awesome that would be. Like you just lost your welterweight title, you move up a division, and in 2 fights you're a champion in a higher weight class. So I mean, maybe he could be motivated for that. Who knows?
Yeah, basically, like I would say, then you're clashing dimensions. Then you're jumping from one dimension to another, and at this level, just dominating one dimension, one weight category, one division is extremely difficult. And there's so many people who like just getting a title fight is like almost a win. So to imagine that as the motivation, you got to be a little bit crazy, but come on, these guys are crazy to begin with in order just to be in the UFC. So I'm excited to see what the Khamzat and Usman are gonna do.
I think it's also for the money, right? Like I mean, Usman is getting paid well for this fight. I mean, I don't know how much he's gonna make, but I think it's gonna be over like at least like $500,000, right? So that's also kind of a motivation. I mean, you put like $500,000 down, to your family and all that. So it's a lot of money. So he could be motivated just for that, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And this guy is thinking about when he talked about his father, was like he was incarcerated for I don't know how long, and they were not able to get him out. And there was like a lot of controversy around that arrest. And at the end of the day, his father got released. So there could be some fire still burning from that kind of mentality. I don't care about that superficial stuff. Let's get this money. Let's get this legacy. Let's get, he can be in all of that. But I don't know. That's what's interesting. This fight game changes really fast. He's stepping in also on short notice here. That was not a planned fight. So let's see what can happen. Normally that I think he's a underdog in the same way that Alexander is. So let's see how those two fights turn out.
Yeah, I'm really curious about it, man.
So we have two other fights on that card: Ikram and Magomed. What do you think? They're fighting Johnny Walker and Alves.
Yeah, I mean, Magomed Ankalaev, like he's a fucking animal, bro. So it's like I think he's gonna get it done. I think he's gonna get it done by wrestling. You know, like standout Johnny Walker is very good, but you know, yeah, like Magomed Ankalayev's wrestling is like fucking amazing. So I don't think like Johnny Walker. I mean, Johnny Walker has a chance to win this fight by a knockout. I would say that. I think he's not gonna win by decision. He's most likely not gonna win by submission. So he can knock him out probably early, like in the first round or something. But I think it's just Magomed's fight in every other way. I
I
don't
see,
know. What
like,
do you think?
thanks for asking, buddy. I see that like there's a height difference. He's like you can translate to your fucked up measuring system, but in the proper metric measuring system, you know, you see Walker is almost 2 meters. He's 198, and then we have Magomed. He is 191.
Yeah. I mean, Walker, yeah, he has longer reach too. You know, so
Like
I think
20
that's
centimeters longer. Like reach,
wow.
his
Okay,
reach is
that's
like
quite a
20.
lot.
So,
Yeah.
do you know what
Uh,
20? Do you know what 20 centimeters look like, or?
Oh man, yeah, I know what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, okay, good to hear. No, so yeah, so they're at the same weight, they're at the same age. Both of them are 31 years old. But Johnny Walker, he's a strong dude. He's a reach advantage, and he looks very hard. That guy.
Yeah, you know, he's a good fighter. I think he beat Anthony Smith in his last fight or something. I
Wow.
think that was his last fight, you know.
Yeah.
So he's a good fighter, but I think yeah, Magomed Ankalaev is just a future champion, you know. Like I believe he can be the champion in that division in like 1 or 2 years. So, you know, I got that fight. If I would have to bet the house on someone, it would be Magomed, man.
Hey, Anthony Smith. He's a black guy, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Didn't we have that discussion?
yeah, we did for sure. I mean, yeah, I believe he's a he's like half black or something, right?
You know, I was so thrown off when you said like, oh, Anthony Smith is a black guy. I'm like, are you mentally retarded? You know, like, are you like one of those challenged persons? But then I started Google on it. Like, was he completely white?
maybe he identifies as black. You know, you cannot argue with that, right?
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah. No, I think Magomed, is he from Dagestan as well, or where is he from?
Yeah, he's from Dagestan. Yeah,
So
yeah.
he has 18 wins and 1 loss, but Johnny Walker has 21 wins but 7 losses, though.
Yeah, 7 losses. Yeah, I mean, he lost a couple of fights by submission, and also he got knocked out a few times. So, you know, I mean, we should never go based on that, but I think that yeah, overall, like skill wise, like you know, Ankalaev is just a more complete fighter. So,
Yeah,
you
like
know, what
his
I noticed is it's really interesting. Like the most of the fighters on this card, like at least one fighter in every fight like is a Muslim guy, you know. So they're really, you know, they're really making this for the people in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good, you know. It's good to see like this kind of MMA as well, like this side of MMA, because like if you watch the other cards, like every fighter is like either American or Brazilian, you know. And I love to see these cards in Europe and you know, like in Abu Dhabi. It's like something different a little bit, you know.
Do you think that's when you think about the matchmaking, do you think that's a coincidence from UFC's side?
Oh man, it's definitely not a coincidence. Like, yeah.
No. Yeah, it's like the Westerns against the Dagestan, or like the infidels against the Muslims. So they're trying to put like the biggest contrast, you know, the American versus the Brazilians, where they already have some rivalry.
Yeah.
Okay, so over to Ikram and Alves. What do you think there?
Yeah, I
middleweight.
mean, it's I kind of feel bad for Ikram because like originally like he was supposed to fight Paulo Costa, like before Costa was scheduled against Chimaev, so
Yeah.
he's supposed to fight Ikram first. So then he got scheduled against some other guy, I forgot who that was, but like also like a high level guy, and then he got like injured or something as well, and then he got scheduled against Alves, so who's like not like a very big name. Uh, and Ikram, like he won his first fight like by knockout. He knocked out Phil Hawes. So I think Ikram is gonna get it done, man. And I would go for like a knockout, like the same kind of knockout like what he got against Phil Hawes. So I think
Mm.
Ikram is gonna get it done. I'm very confident about that.
Yeah. Alves, he's from Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has also more losses than his opponent.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he beat Colby Covington though, like a couple of years back. Like he was the first
Oh,
one to beat Colby Covington. So he
that's
has,
a character.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he has great jiu-jitsu. He submitted like Colby Covington. So, the guy is not bad. But I mean, Ikram Aliskerov, he's just a different fighter. He's just a lot better.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, on this fight, he has like longer reach, 10, 15 centimeters longer reach. He's 2 years younger. He only have one loss, whereas Alves has 6 losses. So if you just look at the numbers, like on the piece of paper, which is very dangerous to do in this MMA world, he has the advantages. But we should never underestimate like the situation of the underdog. We have seen it time
Yeah.
and time again that they have risen to the occasion and delivered beyond what everybody else expects. And that's why we're making podcasts, man. We love the excitement and the energy of this kind of
Yeah.
pre-talks.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love MMA. It's like so unpredictable, like anything can fucking happen. There can be a guy with like 15 losses and he can beat the guy who's undefeated. And, like the same way, if one guy is beating the shit out of the other guy and then it can just be a quick knockout, like fucking 2 seconds before the end of the third round, so it's so unpredictable. And I think that's what makes it a lot better than football, for example. Because in football, let's say the other, like one team is going up, whatever, 4-0. So the other team is not gonna fucking turn it around, right? It's not gonna happen. In MMA, it can happen. So
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's I heard some athletes talking about it like this. It's the easiest sport to become a world champion. Also hashtag easy. But it's if you get some knockouts, you get some wins, you're easier to put yourself in a contender position for a championship title fight or something like this. So you
yeah,
can you can climb the fastest. Look at Nagano. I don't know how old he was, like 25 before he started to fight, and then 5, 6 years later, he's the baddest man on the planet, next
yeah,
to
for sure. I mean,
next to John Jones, of course.
yeah, next to John Jones. I could never say like who's better, Ngannou or John Jones, and I really hope like Joe Rogan talked about it like in his last podcast. I think that will we ever see these two fight against each other? Like I really fucking hope they will, man, because yeah, it would be a shame if that fight never happened. Like it would be great to see like really like who's the baddest motherfucker in this bitch.
Yeah, I think John Jones will take that fight. I'm so convinced that John Jones, just throughout his whole career, his whole mentality. And now when Jones is going to have the Miocic fight, in my opinion, he's going to be 30-0. And Nagano is strong, he's good and everything. But when it comes down to it, John is born for this. He has lived this. He has walked the steps that you need to be walking. Nagano has accidentally just been pushed into it. So, but it's going to be interesting. I think for our next podcast, we will have the answers from the UFC 294. Is it going to be Islam or Alexander? Is it going to be Kamaru or Khamzat? Is it going to be Magomed or Johnny Walker? Or are Ikram going to be able to take Alves? I think next week at this time, we're going to have the answers for that.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I can't fucking wait for that. I already planned for this Saturday. Like, I'm gonna fucking watch UFC. So everybody, fucking leave me alone. I'm not doing anything else. I'm watching fucking UFC this Saturday.
Nobody texting me. Nobody sends me SMSs. Nobody FaceTime me. I want to see the fight before, turn your phone on air mode so nobody's able to contact you.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. Thank you for talking, Adam, and I'm looking forward to next week. All right.
Yeah, for sure. Next week, same time.
Have a good one, buddy.
You too.
Ciao.
Ciao.